Hello everyone, my name is Perilous Peanut, and this is going to be my commentated run of SteamWorld Dig 4 gold stars in 59 minutes and 40 seconds. Now, I'm doing this as a general commentary so that people that don't know this game very well can understand what's going on in the speedrun, just for the sake of, having commentary at all, just for GDQ submissions, etc., etc. So, yeah, that's basically it. So enjoy the run. So I'm gonna start in 3, 2, 1, play. And go. Alright, so this is SteamWorld Dig. It's a 2D platformer slash kinda Metroidvania, released in 2013 by Imageform Games. And this category is called 4 gold stars. It's the closest thing we have to 100%, because this game doesn't have a percentage counter. It actually has 4 requirements at the end screen that need to be filled out for the sake of this run, which are 1 star is for beating the game in under 2 hours and 30 minutes. The second gold star is for collecting 20,000 gold total. The third one is for collecting 150 orbs throughout the entire game. And the fourth one is for beating the game with 0 deaths, and this run completes all those requirements in a little under an hour. So the first thing that we're doing here is just progressing through the tutorial. As per usual, there's no real way to speed this up. You just have to dig down until you get the switch to open the door, and then we progress onward to Archaea. So here's the first little bit of randomness here. We need to get to $8 in ore total so that we can buy the sharp pickaxe, but the first few ore blocks here are always in the exact same spots, so there's no randomness in where they are. The randomness comes from how much money you get from them. You can get one of 2 items, one of which is a trashium, which is worth $1, and as you saw there can also be a copper, which was worth $2. And thankfully I got the copper in this run, which saves me on just a little bit of digging. It means I don't have to dig extremely far down to get to the $8. I can just get this last trashium here and then leave. Then we go to the surface of the little western town of Tumbleton and sell everything. So now we have $8, which is enough to unlock and buy the sharp pickaxe. So with the pickaxe having been bought, we're now going to proceed downwards into the caves, and that's the first big randomness spot of this game. The cave layouts are completely random every single time, and you might think, oh my god, that sounds awful for speedrunning, but it's actually way more chill than you would think, because the cave layouts work like this. There are dungeons, which as you can see are just entrances with Roman numerals next to them. This is the first one, where we're going to be getting our first upgrade. And they usually follow some sort of pattern, like dungeon 1 will always be like 30 meters down, the second dungeon will always be some certain depth as well, there's always going to be some certain block formations that you can watch out for, etc. So here we just got the first big upgrade of the run, which is the speed boots. It's kind of like the speed booster in Super Metroid if you've played that game, and it allows us to run faster and jump way higher. So right now I'm going to do a pretty big skip. I'm going to jump on the very edge of these blocks right here, which is only a few pixels wide, so you have to master the timing of it, which lets us get to this room early. And in this room there's a block with 3 orbs right there, so that's our first 3 orbs of the run. And there's also 3 chunks of dark matter, which is worth $60 each for each chunk, which gets us about $200, and we're not supposed to have that much money early on in the game at all. Like, we're only 4 minutes in and we already have like $200, even though the next upgrade is at 42. So we're just gonna unlock a ton of stuff instantly because we're not supposed to have this much money. And it's gonna severely speed up the digging in the next time we head down to the caves. So as you can see, it's just completely filling out the progress bar. And it's also going to give us a lot of money. So what I'm doing here is buying 3 pickaxe upgrades and a medium pouch. So now pretty much most of the blocks on the way down will be destroyed with a single hit, so it will make digging significantly faster. And it's also, you know, some nice money to just start out. Here I actually got lucky. This specific formation of ore is random in where it spawns, and you always have to approach it from the right. So, and you'll always get a guaranteed citrine, which is worth $16 from the top block. So if you do find that, you have to approach it from the right, and you'll get a guaranteed $16 drop from that. Right here, I found the second dungeon right there on my mini-map, but first I have to find my teleporter, which is almost always a little bit above the second dungeon or next to it. And that's another consistent thing that you can always rely on. There will always be a fixed teleporter before the second dungeon every time. This isn't even like a, oh, 80% of the time it'll be there. No, it will always be there. And so I just sell my ore right there pretty quick and enter the second dungeon. Right here I get a couple more orbs as well. And now we're going to the second upgrade, which is the steam jump. And this will allow us to jump higher at the cost of water. And we're going to be introduced to the water mechanic pretty soon. Right there I grab a couple more ore, just, you know, more bronzite, more silver, which are pretty valuable early on in the game. And the goal of this run is to get to the second area, which is the old world, as fast as possible, because there's 3 areas in this game. There's Archaea, which is where I am right now. There's the old world, which is like a green cave world. And then there's Vectron, which is like a futuristic techno place. And most of the ore in Archaea is completely useless, so we're just trying to get to the old world in Vectron, which is where all the valuable items are. So I got the steam jump. I got a lot of extra ore right there, which is always in fixed spots in that cave, and now I'm gonna sell it to unlock the teleporter. The route for this game is actually very well thought out in how you progress with the upgrades and everything. So I bought a teleporter and a bigger pouch, and the teleporter is one of the items that you can equip in this game. You can equip like ladders, teleporters, a lamp, etc. But we're only going to be using the ladders and the teleporters. So we're trying to dig down as fast as possible while also collecting quite a bit of money, because we do need money for something that I'll explain later. Right now we're just digging down, getting ore along the way, if there happens to be any. There's really nothing much to say here, we're just sort of digging down. I can also destroy these sleeping trolleybites here for boosts of water, health, and light. So the amount of like visible things that you can see on the screen is like a radius around the player character, which is rusty, and your light slowly runs out. So once in a while you do actually have to refill it to even see what you're doing. And that's another little bit of micromanagement that goes on in this game. But mostly you're just focusing on your health and water. So we've reached the third dungeon, there it is. We're not entering any of the optional caves in Archaea at the moment because they're not really worth it for the money that you get out of them. I only very recently stopped going to those caves as a safety in my runs because it was just really not necessary and it wasted quite a bunch of time. Anyway, now we're in Dungeon 3, and as you can see I'm using my steam jump to cut quite a few corners in terms of platforming, etc. I don't need to run all the way around, I can just steam jump up with enough water to push one of the switches that will clear the way towards the drill upgrade, which is our third upgrade. Again, more ore that's always in fixed spots. That second thing is always going to be a quartz. The other two are random between dolomite, chocolatite, and galena. Dolomite is the worst, galena on the both squares is the best, and chocolatite is average. And there's actually a somewhat significant difference in between like the value of each of those ores, but it's not enough to where that it affects the run in any like capacity. Like, this game is random, but this category especially is really not that random to where you could probably lose a run or something, or have to make marathon safety saves. You probably could just go in cold turkey in a marathon and I'd be fine, because there's really not a lot of randomness, and the little randomness that there is can be mitigated with, you know, safety caves or getting more orbs than you normally do, etc. So now we've opened all the, or we pressed all the free switches, or I guess pulled all the free levers, and that leads us to this path and the third upgrade, which is the drill, which lets us bust through these blocks that have rocks on them. Your pickaxe does nothing to these. You have to use the drill, and the drill and the steam jump are actually the only two upgrades that low percent gets. You can beat this game with only these two upgrades, but obviously for the sake of the speedrun, we're not gonna do that because it takes so long. So right here, the old world entrance is always a little bit below dungeon 3. So we're just gonna dig down, get a couple more chunks of ore along the way, and here we are in the old world. We're trying to get to 220 money in total here. 197 is not bad, but ideally you would have like 215 to 230 when leaving that little cave. So I'm supposed to have 600 coins here. I only have 550, so I need to do some on-the-fly routing to make up for that deficit a little bit later. So now we're backtracking to Dungeon 1. We just bought a couple health and water upgrades. We're one health upgrade and one water upgrade. And now we're returning to Dungeon 1 to do this. That special jump that I did earlier to completely skip and get into that place with the dark matter ore early, yeah, we're gonna do that again. And it's just as, you know, difficult as the first time, but for someone who has a lot of practice in this game, you get it pretty quickly usually. I don't know what happened here, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So we go back up here for a very good reason. It's because there's some rock blocks right here that we can now make with our drill. And there's a diamond. A diamond is worth $500, and it's always going to be there every time. It's one of the few fixed ores in the game that will always be the exact same like type of rock every time, or I guess type of mineral, I don't know. There's a couple more secret orbs up there, and using the last of our water, we steam jump and break the block that leads these gravity blocks to move and lets us destroy this big metal thingy. Now you're probably wondering, what are you doing? Why are you like destroying that? Why is it important? The door to the final boss has 3 lasers blocking it, and each laser corresponds to one generator in each of the areas. There's one in Archaea, one in Old World, and the last one is in Vectron. And normally you're supposed to make it all the way to the final boss without even finding that. But we can destroy all the generators early and only have to destroy one when we get to Vectron. So here I have to do a small detour. I have to go look for ore because I don't have enough money to unlock the next townspeople, or the next townsperson, which is Biff. That was actually a close call. I could have been killed by that rock and the run would be over. A single death means the run is over, but it's only a concern in like the first 20 minutes, because after that you get way too many armor upgrades way too quickly, to the point where you're pretty much invincible for most of the game. So I got that extra ore so I could get to $1,100 to unlock Biff. And what Biff does is that he will give me 2 upgrades for my drill, which will severely speed up digging through the old world. Right there I took a detour because I needed to get some water, because the drill actually does run on water, and if you run out of water you can't use the drill. You also can't steam jump, you can't use the steam punch, a bunch of things that you can't do without any water. So yeah, Right here, we're going through the old world. We're not digging straight down because we actually need to get a lot of money. Like I said, we need $20,000 dollars total for the end of the run. Right here is the first detour. It's the first cave that I get in the old world. I do this little block puzzle to clear the path to a big orb block, which gives me 7 orbs, and that's actually a lot, to the point where it's really worth it to do that like 30-second rock room and get 7 orbs out of it. Right here I also got pretty lucky. Like I said, the placement of all the like blocks in the caves is completely randomized every run, and so the fact that I got yet another like few orbs there is a little help that is definitely pretty convenient. Right there, one of my Steam friends started playing Counter-Strike. I apologize if that ruins your immersion or whatever. I don't know, that joke was awful, I'm sorry. Anyway, now I have no more room in my pouch, so I'm gonna set down a teleporter and go back to town, sell everything that I have, and also buy a bigger pouch. Wait, do I buy the bigger pouch here? Alright, yeah, I try to buy it from Biff, but then I realized I haven't bought it from Cranky yet. So I buy the bigger pouch, go back, and get right back to digging. And we found the first dungeon of the old world, and we're gonna get the upgrade from it. But first we gotta pull this little lever here to open the door, and then proceed onward. And the upgrade that we're gonna get here is dynamite. And dynamite is actually pretty convenient, not only for, you know, throwing in enemies and digging down faster, but it's also gonna be used for us to get some secret areas. First one is going to be right here, right next to the upgrade spot. There's a TNT barrel right there that you can blow up with the shot, with the, what do you call it, the blast radius from the dynamite. And it clears the path and gives you another 7 orbs. Again, very worth it. Another 3 orbs up here. We blow up even more dynamite, or TNT, I guess. We get that amethyst, which is always there and is worth $75, and then we continue digging down. And that's basically the core of this game. You're supposed to, or this category rather, you're just trying to go fast, do everything as efficiently as possible, also trying to get a lot of money, also trying to get orbs whenever you can, if you happen to spot any. Right there, that was a fixed teleporter. It wasn't one that I set down. And I'm only taking that opportunity just to go back to town and refill all my health because I took too much unnecessary damage. So, immediately go back. And as you saw, I actually bought some ladders, and that'll only come into play later on, like further down into the caves when we get to Vectron. As you can see, I'm just trying to get money, trying to figure out the path here, and that's pretty crucial, you know, like, ability that you have to hone in order to speedrun this game well, is you just have to really make on-the-fly decisions super well. You have to just decide in a split second if you're going to do this or not. It's kind of like Binding of Isaac speedruns in that sense, where you just have to adapt, especially in a marathon setting. You just have to deal with what you're given, and then just try to plan out like a strategy around that, especially for 4 gold stars, where you can't die, but you also have to get a lot of money, and you also have to plan your teleports back to town well so that you don't overuse teleporters, because each teleporter actually costs 3 orbs, and if you buy too many of them, or like use them too quickly, you won't have enough orbs to buy another one, and that might literally screw you over a lot in the later game. So you just have to be aware of that at all times. You just have to micromanage stuff. At this point, I don't even think about it in runs because it's second nature, but that's something that you have to get good at. Anyway, we found the second dungeon in Old World, and we're proceeding up it. There's a faster method that you can use to get this upgrade here, but I do the safer way because it's not nearly as annoying as the jump is. So now we got the Steam Punch, and it lets us shoot shockwaves with our cool little punch thing. I guess Steam Fist? I don't know. But yeah, it uses water, and we can use it to destroy blocks, to kill enemies, and to also, yeah, that's pretty much it. But first off, we're doing quite a lot of detours, as you can see here, just to get more money. Those two pockets of zoetite are always going to be zoetite. It's not going to be like some other element. I put a dynamite over there to blow up the block that's blocking the entrance to that room. I threw a dynamite to blow up the TNT as well to get these 7 orbs, because otherwise I would have died. And as you know, like, dying in this category is not a very good thing. So we jump over that guy. I immediately go back to town here just because I'm like really scared of dying with how my health is at the moment, so I just take a moment to immediately stock up on health, and also buy the humongous pouch from Biff, which is 500 coins. And then here I forget to stock up on dynamite, so I just have to go back to the store again, buy the sturdy armor as well, and get more dynamite. Because dynamite is actually pretty useful when you are coming out on a really like tough block that would be faster to destroy with dynamite than it would be to destroy with your drill. And the blast radius of the dynamite also helps in clearing out blocks below it. And if you kill those zombies before they wake up with your drill, you actually are guaranteed to get one of 3 things, which is health, water, or fire. Which is pretty convenient for filling up on whatever you want at the moment without having to go too far out of your way, because water pools are actually pretty rare. So again, just digging down, trying to get as much money as possible. Nothing really much to say at this point, other than we're progressing towards the next upgrade, which is the fall dampeners. The fall dampeners completely let you negate fall damage. Like, it doesn't even reduce fall damage, it just completely removes fall damage. So once you have it, you'll never take fall damage from anything, which is pretty convenient. We don't get it in any percent, we do a skip to completely bypass getting it to get the Vectron, but in 4 gold stars we get it because it's pretty massively convenient, and there's no reason not to get it. And you would be running the risk of constantly taking fall damage, like a lot of times in the later game if you didn't get it, so it's just way more convenient. Right here I also buy the dual tank, which fills up all my water and adds an extra bar. I also buy the huge tank, and I can't buy the heart armor for Biff right now because I can't afford it, but I will be getting periodic health and water upgrades throughout the entire game. And the reason why there's only 3 splits on the screen, as you see here, is because this category is too random to have accurate splits for, because your route can change at any moment, and you just have to adapt to it, even if it means losing time for a certain split would mean saving time for another one. It would just be a mess. So unlike any percent, which is somewhat more consistent with the route, 4 gold stars, it's better to not have splits, in my opinion at least, because then you don't have to worry about splitting or losing time on this segment or in this segment. You just play the game, and that's the way that I always liked it best, not having to worry about splits and just putting my mind in the game. But I do need the splits for a specific reason that I'll mention later. So anyway, we get the fall dampeners. Right here I'm trying to blow up a block that leads to a topaz. So now I have $300 on me already, but I'm going to be getting even more. So this is the second generator area. You're not supposed to come to get here normally at this point. You're supposed to come back here with the double jump power up. Like I said, it's when the game tells you, oh, there's generators that you need to destroy. You backtrack to the areas, but here we can eliminate all the backtracking by just doing another special corner jump. I'm having a bit of trouble there. There we go. So we do another corner jump, which leads us to this secret area with a ton of ore that we just ransack like the pirates we are. I mean, he's not a pirate, he's a cowboy. But we immediately also go to this secret area right here, get a few orbs, but also unlock the path to the next generator. Oh, oops. I accidentally paused the video player for a little bit. So this is the area with the generator. As you can see, we're getting a few orbs before we move on to actually get the generator, because again, orbs are actually pretty important and they're pretty scarce in the game, so it's better to just get them all and not have to worry about them later. Right here, secret ore block, free dark matter. Right here, I just tank the damage for all these enemies, and then steam jump up here to do another corner jump to get to this area early. Like I said, all these corner jumps are to avoid getting the double jump and backtracking here later. We just do them with single jumps because that's what speedrunners do, I guess. So right here is another set ore block, another dark matter. There is a third dark matter in this room. It's below, it's above that acid pit right there. If you break it and get that dark matter, you automatically take some damage. But given how bad my health was, I didn't want to risk it. Alright, I'm going to pause now. Okay, going to press play again now. Alright, sorry about that. It was just, I needed to get water because my throat is really dry. And apologies if I also cough, because I haven't been feeling too well these days. Okay, so getting the second generator, we immediately just exit the area and go back to town and sell everything that we have. That unlocks improved hydraulics, but I'm actually never going to get improved hydraulics in the entire game, or in the entire run, because it's just completely useless. Getting more health and water upgrades. And now we will continue digging down until we reach the third area and final area of the game, Vectron. And this is why actually we get the fall dampeners, is because the fall to Vectron is not a door like how we entered the old world. It's actually just a sheer drop that leads to a door. So as you can see, it's just a massive drop down the pit, and in any percent you need to have 2 ladders to do a certain skip here, or if you're really good, you can skip getting the ladders as well to completely negate the fall damage, because otherwise you would die with how much health you have in any percent, and without the fall dampeners you would instantly die as soon as you hit the bottom. So it's just really convenient that we have the fall dampeners here, so we don't have to worry about doing that skip, because it is a pretty scary skip in its own. So we enter Vectron, but then we immediately leave because we need to sell more stuff and buy more things to get prepared for Vectron. I get the last health upgrade I need from Biff, and then we'll start digging down with Vectron. So Vectron is pretty interesting. There's only 2 upgrades in this area. There's no third dungeon or whatever. But the final boss does lay at the bottom of this area, so we do have to go down, obviously. But we also need to get a lot of money, as you remember, because we need 20,000 gold total. And Vectron is pretty much the most valuable area in the entire game. I'd say there's about, what, probably 10,000 or so in this area alone. So the basic 2 principles of 4 gold stars is don't die and clear out Vectron. You literally just have to clean this entire area out. And it looks like I'm not doing a good job at that. I'm just kind of digging down and happening to get whatever is in my path. But trust me, we'll be doing a more thorough sweep of this later when we have the mineral detector. So as you saw there, the ore block was beyond my reach, so I used the little ladder to give me a boost and help me reach it. But in the meantime, I'm also getting just a lot of money. I'm not going into any of these caves because, or not any of these caves, I'm not going into that cave specifically because it's slow. There will be a couple caves in Vectron that I will be entering later. So, you know, just digging around. There's nothing really much to say here either. You're just kind of digging down. Here I actually had to take a safety teleport because those bomb bots do a lot of damage, and I did not want to die there, so I just went back to town to not only sell all my stuff, but to get health refill. Yeah, so if you talk to Cranky, the very first thing that is highlighted in his shop is to fill your health up to 100%, which is really convenient, because if that wasn't there, then that would have severely messed up the strap. So we already found the first dungeon of Vectron, and it contains the first upgrade, which is the mineral detector. And what that does is lets us see all the valuable blocks on the map. Like, they'll show up as purple dots on the map screen on the top right. And the reason that's useful is because it lets us get as much money as possible, which again we need for this category. Right here, this bomb bot unfortunately appeared at a bad time when I was exiting the little tunnel with the free orb block. So on the way over, I just have to dodge all these lasers. And then there's a ton of ore down here, which is how you're intended to like find this out, is to just get the mineral detector, and then you'll see the purple dots on your map, and then that's how the game teaches you that you can find ore like that now. But we actually just get those before we even get the mineral detector. We use up all of our water for the steam jump and the steam punch to open up the secret passageway and the drill, etc. Because whenever you get an upgrade, as you can see, it puts you back to full water and health instantly. So that's pretty convenient as well. Right here, another secret area with another emerald, which is worth $200. And here we'll destroy the first generator of Vectron. And this generator is actually not tied to the final boss, it's just a generator that turns off all the lasers, as you can see. And we actually need to destroy these generators, otherwise we can't progress. We can't even damage boost through the laser barriers because they bounce you up. So even if we had enough health to spare, we wouldn't be able to get past the lasers. So we have to do, even if you don't get the upgrades, which is what any percent does, it doesn't get the upgrades in Vectron. It just has to destroy those generators anyway, because you can't even progress down without doing so. So again, more orbs. This part is actually pretty scary because there's a lot of gravity blocks, and gravity blocks, if you break the block underneath them, they'll fall, much like, you know, the regular blocks in the game. But they'll also fall upwards. There's blocks that fall up, there's blocks that are bigger than others, so... And if you get crushed, it's an instant death. No matter how much health you have, if a block falls on you, you're dead. And that's extremely scary for the speedrun because, of course, you can't die. If you die, the run is over. And, you know, that's just another stressful thing to add. So here we unlocked Dandy, which is the last townsperson, when you get enough money. So we buy from him 2 drill upgrades, so now our drill is fully upgraded and lets us shred through these blocks like they're nothing, as you can see there. Sorry, I was just taking a sip of water because talking a lot, like, leaves my throat dry. Anyway, we're just digging down in this section again, being very careful not to get crushed by the blocks. And you might be wondering, well, how is this game safe for any marathon if you just cannot die at all and the run is over? Well, actually, if I do happen to die in like a marathon or whatever, there is actually a way to save the run. Is that when you die, it only saves that you died when you press A to go back to town. So, for example, if I played the Switch version of this game, which I do have on my Switch, you know, for just portable playing this game, if I died, I would just press the home menu and quit the game and reload it to back to before I died, so the death wouldn't count. So even in a marathon, if I do die accidentally, I can still finish the run, and it still will show the 4 gold stars. It just, you know, it'll look kind of bad as a marathon. They'll be like, oh, you're cheating, but like, it's the only way to get the 4 gold stars to not have the death count if it happens. But ideally, I shouldn't die at all, and I don't think that will happen because I've been getting pretty consistent at this category. And also, this category is pretty easy to finish as well. Even with the worst possible RNG, you can still finish this run like 10 minutes ahead of my estimate that I usually get for marathons, which is 1 hour and 20 minutes. But even then, that's way too generous for this category. So as you can see, we're just getting like thousands of dollars at once here, and it's really, really convenient. We're gonna get even more health upgrades. And first, no, we're not gonna get health upgrades. We're gonna get the static dash. So, this is the second upgrade in Vectron, and the last upgrade we get in the game. It's the static dash, which is basically the double jump. But boy, is it useful. As you can see, it gives us way more verticality, and it just lets us traverse upwards way faster than normal. So first we get that little secret area as a shortcut to this main area here. We destroyed that generator to clear the lasers. Then we use the steam punch to open up yet another secret area. Leads to 7 more orbs for us to get. Again, wonderful. You need to get as many orbs as possible. Here I'm gonna equip my dynamite to also blow up this block here without having to rely on the wall-mounted laser turret there. You can just use dynamite, which has a big blast radius. Right here, another secret orb block has a ruby, which is worth 300. There's another ruby that I'll be getting here as well. This one. That block is not actually a block, it's a fake block meant to trick you. So if you see the dot on that part of the map and you're like, how do I get there? You just drill to the left. That also is a fake block that leads to another ruby, which pretty much gives us another $1,000 instantly, which again is pretty darn convenient, just in general. So again, I'm looking on my map, trying to see where the ore is, trying to map out the best way of trying to get to it, which is again another aspect of trying to improvise, is you just have to be good at planning this stuff in like half a second or more or less, to get the optimal collecting of all the ore, and then also making sure that the path you laid out is good for backtracking, etc. So it's just a lot to think about at once. Usually you don't think about it too much, but that's just because I've been doing this category a lot. The routing can actually be pretty confusing if you're just starting out. Here I use more ladders to get even more ore, and then I teleport back to town because my pouch is already pretty full. So then we get the Unfathomable tank and the super armor. Those are the last armor and health upgrades that we're going to be able to get. First I buy the Gargantuan pouch just to have more room for money. And then we're only at the second to last health and water upgrade, so the next health and water upgrades are going to be the last ones. So again, trying to get as much money as possible. We will clean out Vectron a little bit later, but it's ideal to just get as much as you possibly can on the very first visit, so that you don't waste time when you have to do Vectron all over again to fight the final boss. So yeah, just trying to... That was actually a pretty lucky drop. I usually don't get a ruby at this step, but that's pretty convenient. Which a ruby is actually worth a lot because most of the ore here is worth like $50–$60. Rubies worth 300. Right here I also got pretty lucky. I got another big orb, which again gives me 7 orbs of pop. That's also really, really good. Again, just trying to move. That was just denied by the bomb bot that fell on top of me, just plummeted me down. Mobius actually clipped that during the run. That was pretty funny. But yeah, I'm just trying to follow the purple dots on the map. Trying to get all the ore. Oh, sorry. That was me, like, accidentally crushing my the plastic water bottle that I keep drinking every once in a while so I don't die of dehydration while recording this. Anyway, so we're just moving through the caves here. This is actually a, I think one of the last caves that we do in the game. It gives us 2 rubies as well as 7 orbs, so again, pretty worthwhile. Then my pouch is almost full, but uh-oh, here's where I have to improvise because I set the teleporter, but while I was in the middle of the teleportation animation, the laser gun shot the square that my teleporter was on and completely destroyed the teleporter, didn't bring me back to town, and wasted my teleporter. So now I have to think, okay, oh god, that's never happened before, literally. This is the first time I've ever seen that happen. So I have to think, oh my god, I have to just think on the fly, where was my last teleporter, and I just have to haul ass way back up there to get back to town. Thankfully, it didn't waste too much time because my teleporter was pretty close by, but that was really scary during the run. I was like, oh my god, no, please, like, don't do this to me. But thankfully, it never happened again. But that was pretty scary. So that's another aspect of just having to improvise, just having to do things on the fly, just having enough game knowledge to like minimize all the time lost that would result from that. Right here I'm getting even more orbs. More ore, and this is the depth in Vectron where these laser boxes start appearing, and they're actually pretty dang strong. Those little bars on the top left, each individual bar of those is 1 hit from the laser boxes. So I have, what, 7 bars right now? Yeah, if I get hit 7 times by the laser, they'll kill me. So I need to be very careful with these laser boxes, especially in any percent where you only have 3 bars. And that pretty much means you have to go through Vectron without taking much damage, if at all, which is really, really scary. This is also the time when, or the depth when dark matter starts dropping, as like a frequent ore item. Another ruby right there. I actually had surprisingly good luck with getting a lot of rubies. Normally I don't get luck this good in this part of Vectron. So we're just getting the dark matter, gravitonium, another ruby right there that was also pretty lucky. And even if I do get really bad Vectron luck, I can also mitigate that as well with some backup caves, some stuff in the old world. Basically, the game is always going to give you enough money so that you can make the 20k goal. It's not like the game just straight up isn't, like, it's not like there's gonna be a point where there's literally is not enough money in the game. That never happens, but in case you do get kind of bad luck, you need to know where to make up the money that you lost. So as you can see now, we're at 12.3 thousand. So just 8,000 more and we'll have the first gold star in the bag. Right here I'm buying more stuff from Dandy before I head down again. So now my health and water are completely maximally maxed out. So now if I die, it's just complete and total incompetence. But no, for real. Right now I basically can't die because I'm not invincible, but I can tank so much damage that I'm practically invincible, which is pretty convenient because the enemies in Vectron do a lot of damage. But now I don't have to worry about that pretty much because all of them drop water, health, either water or health or fire, but I don't need fire at this point. So, you know, pretty much the same as usual, just getting money, trying to figure out where to go, trying to like improvise the best way to proceed, I suppose. While also taking care of enemies, etc. So there's really not much to say at this point, really. Except for the part when we're going to be reaching the bottom of Vectron, which is the bottom of the world, basically. The bottom of the mine, I guess. And we're going to be doing the first real backtracking of this run. The first generator didn't count. Let's pretend that I didn't say that, but... And as you can see, I actually get a lot of money from all the dark matter drops. You might be thinking, oh, $60 is not that much, but it adds up a lot, as you can see. A lot of dark matter almost gets me to $2,000 alone. But I also have to get, there's also a possibility for a couple diamonds to spawn at this bottom in Vectron. Which again, puts me at a much, yeah, like right there. That was the first diamond. Speak of the devil, I suppose. Another diamond right there, which puts me over 2,000. Again, even more orbs, that's also pretty lucky. In terms of the luck that I got for this run, it's actually really good. It's better than average for me. Which is part of why this run was a PB, but, you know, whatever. So I actually had no room left for the dark matter, so I had to go up a little bit to get the teleporter, which is right next to the final boss's chamber. So now we've reached the max level, technically, at 15,000, but we still need 5,000 to go, because we need to hit that 20k for the gold star. So I just take the teleporter back just a little bit to get a couple more ore items that I missed here at the bottom of Vectron, and also to get this last generator, which opens the door to the final boss. So this is the last generator right here. Boom. Now the final boss's door is unlocked, but we're not going to be fighting him just yet, because if I kill him, I actually trigger the credits. And I do not want to trigger the credits before I've actually gotten all the 4 gold stars. Secret ore up here, always a diamond, so that's another $500 in the bag. More dark matter. And here I'm just clearing out whatever's left of ore and orbs. And the good thing about the mineral detector is that it not only shows you where ore is on the map, it also shows you where orbs are on the map. So I don't have to constantly fumble around trying to find orbs, because they're all pointed out to me on the mini-map. They're not like different from the ore in terms of like the symbol. It's still just a purple dot, but it's better than nothing. It's better than not knowing where orbs are, because you do actually need, you know, 150 orbs to complete the 4 gold stars. In a marathon setting, I would either have this auto splitter with me, because the auto splitter for this game actually splits when you get 150 orbs, so you don't have to constantly keep track and do mental math and whatever. You don't have to keep track of that. It automatically splits when you get the 150 of orb, which is pretty darn convenient. But if I did this at a marathon, I would either have to have someone keep track, use the auto splitter if I was on PC, or just hope and pray. And I really don't want to hope and pray, so I don't know how that will be done in a marathon. So now I just bought pretty much everything from the store, and now we're moving on to the orb and cash hunt. This is the part of the run where I get the orbs and the cash that I need to reach 20k and 150 orbs as well. So we're backtracking to the old world, and we're going to clear out the whole old world, just to get as much money as possible. I needed 4.4k by the time I entered the old world, so I just have to constantly keep track of the money count right now. You might say I'm behind, but that first gold star split is actually for 150 orbs, which I had gotten way earlier in my PB. And sometimes that doesn't actually mean I'm behind, it just means that, you know, in my PB I had better orb luck and I got the orbs earlier. That doesn't mean that this run was slower. Quite the opposite, actually. Just meant that I got the orbs earlier than normal. So again, there's nothing much really to say about this part other than you just have to, again, same things that I always mention, you just have to know how to play the game well, to improvise at every scenario, and know how to move around quickly and efficiently to get everything that you need to get. I also need to be careful with these zombies because they can be pretty annoying as well. Oh god, I apologize for that. It's just that, like I said, I've been coughing a lot and it's just awful. So apologies if your ears were destroyed. I actually got quite good luck right there with 4 ore blocks right next to one another. So just 3,000 more to go. Right here is the second cave in Old World that I actually enter because there's an actual ore block here that gives us 7 orbs. Right here, this one, and then it's actually the one that puts me over 150. So as you see there, it's split for no reason. That's when I know that I have 150 orbs, is when it just splits and I'm like, okay, now I don't need to get orbs anymore. I can just focus on getting gold. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing for the next, I don't know, I think, what, 5 minutes or so? The next 5 minutes of the run is just going to be getting money to get to 20k. So this would be like the optimal time in like a marathon to, you know, like read donations or plug anything that needs to be plugged by the announcer or whatever. This would be a perfect time to do it, is when you're doing this orb and cash hunt, where you really don't need to commentate pretty much anything because it's pretty self-explanatory, honestly. Right here, I completely bailed out on getting that cave because it's not necessary. The only thing that is in there is zoetite, which is worth $100, and an orb block that gives me 7 orbs, but I already have 150 that I need, so that's completely just unnecessary. So again, there's nothing really here to say, just besides, well, watch the gameplay, I guess. But the current world record for this category is 53.53 by Barramondo, and the only differences in my run and his is just he got better, like, luck. He also did some of the corner jumps better. It's just a lot of this game comes down to luck sometimes, even if you play like kind of perfectly. If someone just has better luck than you, then they're just gonna have a better run. That's not to discredit Barramondo at all, because he's an absolutely great runner in this game. He's better than me, honestly. He's way better than me, and he has the world record for a reason. You should definitely go check out his run. It's pretty interesting to see the differences in between runners. That was a pretty funny moment. The TNT just kind of plummeted me down. It just slapped me and said no, and just rocketed me downwards toward the ground. So now we're up at the final stretch of the run. I only need 1.3k to get to 20k, and thankfully there's quite a lot of money in Vectron to make that not an issue at all. So I get that topaz, get these few ore blocks right here. And then head down to Vectron. Or first I actually, yeah, I actually get this. These 2 pieces of red gold. So now we're going back to Vectron. And now we're going to begin the final descent. We're going to have to do Vectron all over again to get to the final boss, but on the way we're just going to get money. So that's basically it. So I guess I'll explain the final boss. He's a big robot, and you just have to punch him 3 times per phase, and then you win the game, basically. I'll explain more when we actually get to the fight, but it's not that, like, complicated. Once I get 1.3k, I'll just start immediately just falling down, completely ignoring all the platforming, and just start, dropping. Because at that point, I don't need anything. I just need to get to the bottom as fast as possible. Right here, I take a teleporter back to town just to get another teleporter. And to also sell my loot. So I only need like 200 at this point to get the 20k. So I'll just start heading down immediately and get whatever gold happens to be in the way. I damage roost off these bomb bots because it's the fastest way to kill them. There's no way to just like, I don't have time to like bait them into running at me and dodging the explosion. It's just faster to just run into them, especially with how much health I have. In any percent, that would actually be suicidal because you don't have enough health to tank 2 of their explosions. If you tank 1, you're already gonna be 1 hit away from death from the other one. That was also close. That block that I said that moves upwards, yeah, that almost killed me there. And dying in this category is not a fun idea, as you're probably aware of by now, with how much I keep repeating it. So we're just descending, trying to get away from all these laser boxes. As you can see, they do a ton of damage, even with max health. They do quite a bit of damage, and I have a damage reduction on it, by the way. It's the upgrade that I bought from Dandy, the last upgrade that I got from him. So we just sell our loot, 20k in the bag, and now we'll go fight the final boss. But thankfully, there's a full refill of health right before the final boss. There we go. So, the final boss, there's 3 phases, and in each phase you have to destroy a certain amount of generators for him to reveal his weak spot that you have to hit for massive damage. Wow, that reference is really old, but we just have to destroy the generators, and then 3 punches for each phase, and then he moves on to the next one. It's a pretty simple fight. In any percent, it's really, really scary. Like, literally, it's super scary because you don't have a lot of health. But here it's no biggie because, like I said, we can tank everything. Our water pretty much never runs out. And also, because of the generators leaving behind refill power-ups, we don't even have to worry about that. That's the second phase done. Pow. 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 I'm just trying to leave landmarks so that I can sync this up later, because I think I think the audio and the video might be desynced because of that pause that I did earlier. So, future me, that's where you'll sync up the videos in Vegas. So, because I'm actually not recording the screen right now, I'm just recording my audio in Audacity, and then just watching the run on my computer. So that was the second phase, by the way, future me. Second phase on the free hits. So this is the final generator of the third phase. Boom, boom, and pow. 5940. Whew. So that was SteamWorld Dig, 4 gold stars. I'm really proud of this run. It's really good, really good for my standards, honestly. And it's just, I think, a good show for the category. It's a fun game. It's interesting. It's, you know, puts you on edge because you need to constantly worry about the randomness aspect. But there it is, 4 gold stars on the completion screen, as they should be. Time 1 hour, total cash 20,260, and total orbs 153, and also 0 deaths because I'm really that badass. But yeah, that was it. If anybody of the GDQ Games Committee is actually watching this, then I thank you a lot for, you know, watching and for all this crap. Thank you for even considering my run for future events or whatever. Whatever GDQ I submit this to. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you later, and bye.